You're crazy, and if you weren't in jail, you'd be sleeping in a gutter.
Why was Iroh so silent in Book 3? In my last Iroh video, please watch the first, I discussed how Iroh made significant mistakes mentoring Zuko in Book 2. Chiefly, how he was being too heavy-handed with his guidance. At the moment of truth, beneath Ba Sing Se, Iroh was speaking too much and thinking too little. Zuko was extremely compromised after having been captured by Azula and the Dai Li, befriending Katara, and feeling slightly betrayed at the sight of Iroh and Aang working together. Also, throughout Book 2, Zuko was constantly struggling with right and wrong, as we saw him as a good guy in Zuko Alone, then a bad guy in the next episode, The Chase. It is not a good idea to try to influence the decision making of a very confused person. The last thing anyone wants in that situation is to be told what to do by anyone else. Iroh was pretty desperate to have Zuko do the right thing at the time. So desperate that he made a huge mistake in telling Zuko that he thought he should choose good. Choose to help the Avatar. Nobody can really blame Iroh for asking Zuko to do the right thing. But I believe that this, coupled with all the other actions Iroh did over the course of Book 2, felt more like transgressions to Zuko than advice. Now I know there are many people out there who would disagree with this argument. Obviously Iroh made no mistakes and Zuko was just being a bad guy. But I believe that Iroh himself saw what he did as a mistake. I think he knew his words had a negative effect on his unhinged nephew. So Iroh does what he believes is right, helping Katara get Aang to safety and later being captured. Notice how Iroh has no words after this point. There is only the unmistakable look of disappointment upon his face. After Iroh's capture, he is taken back to the Fire Nation in chains for his treasonous crimes. We see that Zuko nearly immediately began having second thoughts about betraying his uncle. For the time, Zuko tries to cover up his doubts, but they will continue to plague him. Iroh, however, fully realizes his grievous mistakes. We never see a scene between him and his brother Ozai, but I don't believe we needed to, as neither one of them had much regard for the other at that point. Iroh chooses silence in prison, devoting his energy to training and subterfuge. As Maurice Switzer put it is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. While Iroh was using his time in prison to better himself, Zuko was only becoming worse. He's more confused and more angry than he's ever been, leading to violent behavior, outbursts of aggression, and the hiring of a psychic assassin. None of this allows him to make sense of his life, however, so he goes to see the man whose words always have. Zuko starts slowly, bringing Iroh food and making awkward small talk. He is super guilty about what he did, but isn't quite ready to admit it. Throughout all of this, however, Iroh refuses to speak. Not only that, but Iroh refuses to even look Zuko in the eye. Now I do have to mention that out of universe, Iroh's voice actor, the late, great Mako Iwamatsu, had passed. Mako was truly an extraordinary talent, and nigh irreplaceable. I'm not 100% confident in saying that is why Uncle Iroh was silent though. Animation takes a long time, so there's a chance, I believe the intention, that Iroh be silent and not speak to Zuko for the first half of the season. After a while, Zuko breaks his nice nephew shtick and gets into the meat of what he actually needs from Iroh. He lets it all go, that he's confused, angry, doesn't know what he wants from his life. But Iroh responds to none of it, letting Zuko talk to himself. Zuko yells obscene things at him and storms out. The camera pans over Iroh's face and we see that he is in tears. It genuinely hurts him to shun Zuko, but he's doing it for his own good. Keep in mind, the last time Zuko needed help, Iroh just told him what he personally thought he should do. I don't believe that Iroh is perfect, but the man definitely learns from his mistakes. Iroh is fighting against himself, suffering in silence so that Zuko will come to the right conclusions on his own. Emotional intelligence is key to Iroh. Zuko's life has been haunted by expectations since his birth. In a sense, Zuko has never had the chance to think for himself. Whether it's trying to live up to Ozai's expectations of power and cruelty, his family's aspirations to capture the Avatar and win the war, or even his own mother's words of being who he is, Zuko has constantly struggled. Iroh is finally breaking the cycle by allowing Zuko to make his own decisions and realize that he himself has to restore his own honor. Eventually, Iroh does break his silence, but only when Zuko has hit his lowest point and is ready to hear him. He tells Zuko his ancestry being the great-grandson of Fire Lord Sozin and Avatar Roku. This ancestry sheds light on why Zuko has and will always struggle to do the right thing. He is capable of both great good and great evil. Iroh bestows Zuko with the artifact of the Crown Prince, something which once belonged to Avatar Roku. With this, Zuko does finally make the right decisions and comes to the right conclusions on his own. His honor is restored because he himself chose to follow the right path without anybody's words or influences getting in the way. By pulling away and keeping his silence, Iroh proved that he learned from his mistakes in the past, mentoring Zuko, and that he himself still has some growing to do. Perhaps the ultimate wisdom is to admit that one is not perfect and work towards learning from his or her mistakes.